This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion.
Boy, the shit is hitting the fan. I mean, it's really hitting hard now. Equity's taking a punch. Bitcoin down 50%. Apparently, the Peloton dream of a hot woman riding her bike in every house in America all day long to mint billions. Apparently, that dream died. But come on, admit it. You gotta like it, right? A little excitement. Will the Fed raise rates? Will the Fed not raise rates? What's going to happen to inflation? All this kind of stuff that's not so important for the trend-following traders of us out there. But before I get into that, let me give a little thought about something that's unfolding right now that's damn interesting and sad. Russia, America, Ukraine. Like almost clockwork, American voices are now calling for America to head over to Ukraine to fight Russia. It's almost unthinkable, right? People are now calling for two nuclear powers to go have a proxy war in Ukraine, openly. A lot of people apparently can't imagine how that would end bad. But they don't. They don't think. This is a segue to go listen to an episode that was on this show a while back with a Nobel Prize winner in game theory, Robert Aumann, episode 269. So if you find yourself out there yelling with this chorus of voices that America should go run over to Ukraine and fight a war against Putin, if you find yourself on that side, go listen to Aumann. War is not a game. It's not a video game. There's costs. Yeah, sure. For the last 20 years, since 9/11, even going back to the first Gulf War, going back to, frankly, the downfall of the Soviet Union, we've seen America engage in all kinds of conflict, all kinds of wars, all kinds of killing of millions for not one good damn reason at all. Now, here we are with the entire world wired. Everyone's got a phone. Everyone's connected to the internet. And in real time, people are calling for America to go into Ukraine and fight a war with Russia. This is madness. Utter madness. But guess what? The madness of calling for this war fits absolutely perfectly with the madness on where we are with markets. Now, I can't tell you for sure that we're at a situation where markets are overvalued or that the NASDAQ won't double from here. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? But we can look back historically and we can see where we have come from since the fall of 2008. That is one long stretch. Everyone, regardless of intellect, regardless of capacity to earn, everyone that's got some skin in the buy and hold game, they're feeling pretty good about themselves. They've got it figured out. Their strategy is ready. Or shall we say it's ready until it's not ready when things start collapsing. I feel bad for the newbies and those folks that got into Bitcoin or any crypto without a plan. Because so far, the Bitcoin community has adopted a buy and hold approach only. Buy and hold, however they call it, hodl or hodl or whatever, and just hang on. Have no trading strategy to crypto or Bitcoin. I take a completely different approach to this, obviously. I want crypto. I want Bitcoin to succeed, but I don't know if it will. It's a subtle but important distinction. I want it to succeed, but I don't know if it will. I'm long until I'm not. Meaning you got to have, if you're going to trade Bitcoin, if you're going to trade any kind of crypto, when do you get in? When do you get out? You don't got that? Then you're just buy and hold. Let me give an example of a good buy and hold approach when it comes to Bitcoin. Approximately a 1-minute interview with Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy. I have mentioned him on this podcast before. His firm has been around for 20 plus years. It started off as a .com company in Northern Virginia where I was living at the time. He ran the company up quite successfully. Was probably over a billionaire on paper in the early 2000s. Then came his infamous 60 Minutes interview in early 2000, which arguably, if one wants to go back and do an autopsy on the .com crash, arguably Saylor was the trigger to the .com crash. I bet a lot of you Bitcoin folks don't know that. Michael Saylor, arguably on that 60 Minutes interview, was the trigger. MicroStrategy tanked in the early 2000 period, those first couple months. And then by March of 2000, the rest of the .com world came crashing down. I'm not saying Saylor caused the .com crash. Far from it. But he very arguably, in my words, could have been a trigger. The first salvo. And then what came next was, we all know, the NASDAQ collapsed by minus 77%. And everyone took it on the chin. But somehow in the magical world of reinventing yourself, Michael Saylor has come back and made a bloody fortune in Bitcoin. But now, here in the last few weeks, that fortune has been cut in half, and so has his share price. Again, this is approximately a 1-minute interview with Michael Saylor.
So about this possible winter, are you really not feeling the cold?
Look, if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, a short time horizon is 4 years, a mid-time horizon is 10 years. The right time horizon is forever. Warren Buffett said, if you wouldn't hold it for 10 years, you shouldn't hold it for 10 minutes. So if you look at the course of 4 years, no one's ever lost money over 4 years holding Bitcoin. And if you look at, our experience, we started buying it at $10,000 and now it's up by a factor of 4. So given the right time horizon, you're fine. So it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is it makes it the most exciting, interesting thing in the financial universe everywhere in the world. And the curse is it can induce anxiety for people that have a short attention span or are focused on a narrow time horizon.
That is a very interesting perspective. He brings in an appeal to authority, brings in Warren Buffett. Apparently, Warren Buffett only buys companies that he will hold forever. That's not exactly true. Now, Saylor didn't exactly say that. Saylor talked about holding Bitcoin for 4 years, 10 years, and arguably forever. Again, let me make the distinction here. I want Bitcoin to succeed. I want a lot of these crypto products to succeed. They take power away from central banks. They take power away from government. However, these are tradable markets. They go up and they go down. So you got to be able to manage both sides of your brain here. Walk and chew gum at the same time. And in this case, walking and chewing gum at the same time is, I believe in Bitcoin, but I've got to trade Bitcoin. And if I've got to trade Bitcoin, that means I've got to have a point in time where I buy it and a point in time where I sell it. And I have to know how much I'm going to buy and sell. If you don't know that, then you're left with that Michael Saylor interview. Buy for 4 years, hold for 10 years, hold forever. Come on. The average person can't do that. He's been raising hundreds of millions of dollars in the marketplace through his company to buy Bitcoin. The average person can't do that. So the average person can't be Michael Saylor. A lot of the money that he has in Bitcoin, I'm sure some of it is his personal, but a lot of it obviously is money raised in the public markets. John Q. Public's money. And that's all great. People trust him to make that decision. They trust him to buy and hold Bitcoin. And I'm sure some of the funds that took a flyer on giving Saylor money said to themselves, hey, this is not our whole portfolio we're putting in Saylor. Let's give him a percentage of our portfolio. And if he turns out to be right, that Bitcoin goes to 1 million each, then we've got a small piece with Saylor and that pays us nice. But you're not the fund that's investing a small piece with Saylor. You're either buying Bitcoin or you're not buying Bitcoin. You're buying Bitcoin or you're selling Bitcoin, or you're not doing anything with Bitcoin. But the idea that you should be a buy and hold investor in Bitcoin or any market, there's not evidence for that. There is not evidence for that. Now, sure, of course, if Saylor becomes right, if lightning strikes and each Bitcoin goes to $1 million per, well, he will win notoriety for time immortal. But that's not playing the odds for you. Like, how can you learn from a man whose analysis is hold it for a minimum of 4 years or probably 10 years, but I'm going to hold it forever? That's not a strategy. I mean, it is a strategy, but it's not a strategy that you should say to yourself, well, that's high level intellect. That's high level thinking. For his situation, a publicly traded company raising assets in the public markets to buy lots of Bitcoin, perhaps that's fine for him. Perhaps it's a great strategy for him, but not for you. Not for you at all. Look, all you have to do is go look at any time period. Look at markets across time. I mentioned Peloton at the beginning of this podcast. At the end of the day, you can look at a Peloton chart and you can look at a Bitcoin chart right now. They look kind of the same. Peloton, which is hot girls and spandex on bikes, and Bitcoin, which is nerds and cryptocurrency. Why does that chart look the same? Why does the chart look the damn same? Because people are fucking people. And people are fucking crazy. And people do the same shit year after year, decade after decade, century after century. Here's a good exercise for you. Go on to Google. Find their old cache of scanned books. You're going to have to find it. It's easy to find. Once you find this cache on Google, you can find Wall Street books from the 1700s, 1800s, the 1900s, the early 1900s. These books are like Jesse Livermore books, the Market Wizards books, a lot of the great trend following traders in my books. You're going to see all of this wisdom about the markets hundreds of years ago. So you could turn on and watch Bloomberg and see that interview with Michael Saylor. He's sitting in a chair with lots of fancy books behind him. And you can hear him talk about Bitcoin with some kind of a odd passion. He's got kind of an unusual voice, let's admit it. I'm not trying to say I've got an all that voice, but I'm not really buying the mannerisms, the voice, the whole 9 yards. That's a completely different thought, and somebody can rip me and say, Mike, you sound like an asshole. Why are you picking on him? I've seen things. You've seen things. You want to trust data. You want to trust experience. You want to see how markets have behaved over time. And again, whether it's Peloton or whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's the NASDAQ during the dot-com crash, these charts all look the same. They look the same because at the moment where everybody believes that nothing can do anything except go up, magical thinking rules the world. Literally, people become preoccupied with magic. They just imagine everything. Anything is possible. Reality is not here. So in the last week, I've caught a few excerpts from Jeremy Grantham, the value investor. He makes the case that we are in one of these super bubbles that's popping right now. Now, he could be right, but he sure as hell can be wrong. So even though I might look at the politics, I might look at the economics, and I might say to myself, damn it, I agree with Grantham. But from a trend following perspective, can't trade that way. Because just like Saylor saying Bitcoin hold 4 years, 10 years, forever, Grantham saying that we are in a super bubble that could collapse, he can be wrong too. Now, I have a lot more trust in Grantham than I do Saylor, but what does that have to do with anything? A lot of bad people have made a lot of money and made a lot of money for people in the markets. And a lot of good people have lost a lot of money in the markets for other good people. So these ideas of bad, good personalities, what does it mean? If the market's up, you're long. If the market's down, you're short or out of the market. This is the mental discipline. Because look at where we are today, 2 years into COVID. It's mass insanity everywhere. The world has lost its mind. As I started this podcast up, people are openly talking about, let's go fight a hot war in Ukraine with Russia. 2 nuclear powers. Let's put them in conflict together in a third country. Jesus, nothing can go wrong with that. But so-called smart people are calling for this. We're in a weird time. We are in a very weird time, which is why it does lead me a touch emotionally to be on Grantham's side. His analysis about where we are as a society is spot on. But that's not how you trade. That's not how you make money. That's not how you keep money. You make and keep money with rules. Rules that you stick to. Trend following rules are great rules to stick to. But if you don't stick to the rules, what are you? What are you? What have you become if you have no rules? You are simply an ego. An ego who thinks that you somehow or another, through some amazing intuition, this amazing instinct, that you alone will know when it's time to buy or sell. You have it figured out. No one else is on the playing field with you. It's just you. And you are so smart, so advanced, and see it so much clearer and so much cleaner than everyone else that you can't be defeated. And the moment you think like that is the moment you get kicked in the balls. Look, I've done very well in the markets. I've gotten kicked in the balls by the markets. It's part of the process. But we're not bigger than it. It being the mass of humanity. The mass of humanity does crazy stuff. And when the mass of humanity, through price movements in markets, moves one direction, your goal is really simple: to get on the right side, the side that's moving. Don't fight the tape, right? Don't fight the tape. Get on the side of the trend and put yourself in a position to make some money and keep some money. That's it. You find that, hell, you can live anywhere, do whatever you want, get some freedom, but you need the rules.
I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.